Hello, and welcome to the Steve and Mark Discuss podcast, where my associate here, Steve, will raise a subject. I don't know what he's going to raise, and I will respond. So, over to Steve.
Hi, people. This little podcast. Sorry to continually harp on about this subject, although it isn't really directly involved with what I have been on about, which of course is Ukraine, the war in Ukraine. This is more about the players on the outsides looking in. And I talk, of course, of the European Union countries. It's funny how they position themselves. So our friend van der Leyen, who's the president of the EU, who wants to stay on for another term, as we all know, she says that the EU should prepare for war with Russia. So she's like, a mini King Kong beating a chest.
Yeah.
And that the European Union states should bolster their troop numbers. Well, we know in the past that nobody's wanting to join the army or the air force, especially in the UK. Right? I've already mentioned that. And France, at a recent meeting of these people who are supposed to be helping Ukraine, said that sending Western troops, big umbrella, Western troops to Ukraine is always on the table. And they're leading, said in this article I was reading, that they are leading a coalition of countries. However, they don't mention in the article who the other members of this coalition are. But shortly after this, so this was Macron. We're going to send Western troops into Ukraine. His prime minister, his prime minister in France said, "Yes, we are. Yes, we are." And shortly after this, Italy said, "Wait, hold on. We're not at war with Russia. We're not going to send any troops." And then shortly after that, Germany, Olaf Scholz, I think his name is. He said, "Hey, hold on, France, hold on. We're not sending any troops to Russia." And all of a sudden, they were followed by Poland, Finland, Sweden, and the Czech Republic. Are all saying, "Hey, whoa, Macron, whoa, hold back there." And basically, even the Secretary General of NATO, Stoltenberg, he says, no NATO troops on the ground in Ukraine. And eventually, the United States, right at the very end, said the same thing. We're not going to send US troops on the ground in Ukraine either. So basically, you've got France on its own saying that, I'm at the front. Let's go. The UK said it won't send large-scale troops to Ukraine, which suggests that they already have troops in Ukraine.
I was going to say, I can imagine that what's possibly the troops are already there. There was a special 22 regiment? Yes,
that's right. It's got 300 troops. They're mainly training, and I think medical staff as well. The Danish Prime Minister, she's a new Prime Minister. She says that the Danish people should tighten their belts for the Ukraine cause. And she said that Denmark should raise taxes so that they can give Ukraine money.
Oh, great.
Of course, that I'm sure that's popular with the Danish people. But
It,
what
yeah,
it means is, hey, people who are peace loving,
yeah. Well, effectively, yeah,
you're going to pay for the war in Ukraine.
yeah.
Basically, that's what she's saying.
Mm,
I had a quick look to see if Danish politicians actually pay tax, because
mm,
she's saying that the Danish people
mm,
she can raise taxes for the Danish people to pay for this conflict in Ukraine, and it turns out that a part of their pay, if you like,
mm.
they don't pay tax. So
Right.
basically, it's saying you're going to pay for it, but we're not.
All right. We're all in this together, but some of us more than others. Yeah,
Right. Well, there you are.
yeah.
Meanwhile, um, Ukraine's been caught with nerve agents that have been banned
Oh,
by the Chemical Weapons Convention. This is called BZ.
yeah.
This nerve agent is called BZ.
Mm,
The nerve agent causes hallucinations, delirium, blindness, and inability to perform basic tasks.
right. Okay.
Now, normally I'd say that's terrible, but on a Saturday night
I was going to say,
after I've been on the Raz, I'm more or less in the same state.
give me some of that stuff. Yeah.
No, well, you know that I like to have a good session with vodka,
Yeah, yeah,
and not that I'm sort of inclined to be Russian or anything, but it's it's just that it's
yeah,
what my taste. What can you
yeah,
do?
yeah. Well,
But I've been in a worse situation,
mm,
and it's not the first time that nerve agents have been used by Ukraine. I
mm,
remember last year seeing some videos of
mm.
Ukraine dropping gas canisters on Russian troops
Well,
in the trenches, and the Russian troops writhing and dying in
mm,
the in the trenches. And of course,
yeah.
this has all been banned.
Well, yeah. I mean, in a horrible way. Like there's a good way to die in a war, I suppose. But yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
just to finalize this
yeah,
before you
yeah,
um, comment.
yeah.
Uh, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman
Mm,
said that the West had betrayed Ukraine by not sending their fighters to die on the front lines, because they're basically what the EU governments are saying is that you can die, Ukraine, you
mm,
can, but we're not going. We aren't going to do this. We'll send you some money
mm,
so that you can keep your fight on, and so
mm,
that you can die on the front lines. But we basically the world has been saying that about the US,
mm.
about Ukraine being a proxy war
Right.
for the US, between the US and Russia. Actually, the US military has
Mm,
called Russia their enemy.
yeah. Well,
So basically, the US is sending the dollars, which they
mm,
don't have,
yeah.
to Ukraine, so that the Ukrainian troops can die on the front lines. So there you have it. That's basically more or less what the I suppose the political side, if you like to call it that,
Okay.
of the war in Ukraine. Political side from the EU perspective.
Yeah.
France said let's go, and everybody else said not on your life.
Yeah. As yeah. I'm just wondering if Mr. Macron or President Macron actually studied French history when he was at school. No, he was too busy chasing teachers, wasn't he?
That's right.
Oh, sorry. Um, yeah.
You can say that.
Yeah.
He spent too much time in bed.
Yeah. 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 Make yeah. Okay. But yeah, because yeah, I seem to remember studying this at school in history when the French last tried to go into Eastern Europe. It didn't end well. French troops went to yeah, it didn't really end well, did it?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I couldn't understand him yesterday. He's either lost. Well, what do we say about European leaders? He's either lost the plot. I mean, how
You
could you
lost the
tell?
plot. You're about right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little bit like Grant Shapps
Yeah.
in the UK beating his chest.
Yeah. I mean,
Wait for another podcast for that one because that one's
yeah, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. But yeah, he's I mean, yeah, it's strange. I mean, yeah, the comparison Zelensky's going on the new Hitler and all that. I'm sorry, but I don't like Putin. I'm gonna yeah, this part. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not mine to like or dislike. Okay, but he's a how can I put it? He's not the next Hitler. I cannot see the logic. There's no ideology behind what he's doing. He wants the warm wall to fall, which was the original idea of Crimea and whatever else. Yeah, he's using excuses as ethnic Russian, white Russians, and everything there. Okay, they did get a rough ride from the new leadership in Ukraine. Yeah,
they've been shelled since 2014.
Yeah, so
they held referendums and they want to be independent.
Yeah, and whatever way we look at it, I mean, I've heard not other sources actually a bit closer to the ground of not necessarily the people in that region. Other people think Ukraine. There's other people identify as more Russian than whatever Ukrainian is, living all across Ukraine. And yeah, I mean, okay, if you watch the podcast with the interview, yeah, we've got to mention that. Okay, let's put it this way: Putin did overemphasize a few things historically, which leaders do. Yeah, about this thing about Poland siding with the German. That wasn't quite true. There was something about it, but it wasn't quite true. But again, that's the Russian perspective, and yeah, the justification. That's the Russian game. Yeah, it's up to us to listen to him and find the real history. But yeah, it is an unsettled region. We've always known that since the end of before World War II, but certainly afterwards, it has always still been an unsettled region. The only time there was any real sort of let's put it this way, peace, inverted commas, I'm not saying it's good, was when it was all under Soviet control. I'm not suggesting it goes back to that, but I'm just using it. At the moment, we're feeling the aftermath.
Yeah, I don't think that Putin wants to take it back to that.
No.
There's a lady, I think she's an ambassador, Victoria Newland.
Yeah.
She said that the US is wanting a change. She's wanting to do a Saddam Hussein in Russia.
Yeah.
She's wanting to change the leadership in Russia. She said
that
Russia would be more westernized, which I think Russia is becoming more westernized.
Oh yeah, it's finished.
With Western companies going into Russia to trade.
Well,
and implemented the McDonald's of this world and the Next and the So Russia is being, except that they speak Russian. Well,
what language?
What does the lady want?
What is Russian? I mean, when we say Russian, you've got to call, but yeah, it's made up of different ethnicities and things like this. But yeah, I mean, okay, there's the Tucker Carlson segments all going around looking in the supermarkets and things that look quite good. Okay, we can argue about percentage of income spent on food and things like that. Yeah, we know in Brazil it's probably about the same as Brazil. The amount that we earn to what we spend on food is probably equivalent to what it is in Russia, Russia. Yeah, it's gone up a bit as well recently. So we're not going to, Russia became westernized. Yeah, certainly before. Yeah, we all remember the reports coming out during the Cold War. Yes, Russia was on its knees, and that's why the collapse happened. The collapse was not good. Russia, I mean, was it Gorbachev at the time? He wanted change, but he wanted to do it in a more controlled way, from what I understand. Perestroika and Glasnost, yeah, it was all about change, do it in a controlled way. Instead, it went boom, and yeah, that's when you got basically opened up to the Russian mafia, the oligarchs, and just about anyone else. Is Putin a gangster? He's a godfather, absolutely. But that's no different to the Tsars, and that's no different from how Russia has operated for 1,000 years. So,
Yeah, but you call these people, these oligarchs, you call them rich people
yeah,
in the capitalist system,
yeah,
which Russia has become,
yeah.
and it's no different than the US.
No,
No different than the US.
but that is the problem. It's now a rival, so they want a more
Well,
westernized place to control it. In my opinion, I mean, now the other side of it all is, and these leaders know it. It has been the broken promises to Russia of
yeah,
expansion of both the EU and NATO.
NATO.
Um, yeah, if I make an agreement with someone, I won't do something. I'd like to adhere to it. Now, if you go and it is poking the Russian bear, we call it poking the bear, but yeah, we're poking the Russian bear. Russia is militarily still not insignificant. Um,
No,
and yeah, well, you've got to think we've been pouring money, resources, everything, but okay, let's just pretend there's no official Western forces in Ukraine at the moment. Yeah. Um, and
very few, very
very
few.
few. I mean, yeah, there's probably some mercenaries and people like that. But, yeah.
Mm.
But they're being Russia are holding their own. So against the might of everything. I mean, yeah, Putin probably went in and thought it would be a 2 day war, a 3 day special operation. He didn't quite
Which it
turn out.
should have been, which it should have been.
Yeah,
I said last year
yeah,
the war wouldn't go past a certain time,
yeah.
and it shouldn't have gone past a certain time.
No.
What's made it prolonged, as Putin says,
Mm,
if you keep sending these weapons to Ukraine,
mm.
it's just gonna be
Yeah,
prolonged, and
but
it's
it
never a truer word said.
yeah, I mean, it's one thing to send the weapons. You've got to have somebody to operate them, and they're running out. The Ukrainians are running out.
Which is why the British have put the 200 or 300 troops in there
Yeah,
to help them to train them to
yeah,
do it.
yeah,
Ukrainian troops have been training in the UK, have been
yeah,
training in Poland, have been
yeah.
training in Germany,
Mm,
so they can operate the more recent arms that have
mm.
been sent.
Right.
You
But
know,
I'm gonna give you. And now I'm looking a little bit into the future here and probably supposition. Okay, got Belarus sitting to the north of Ukraine. We've armed Ukraine up. Let's just say they managed to push Russia out. What's going to come next? You've got a highly armed, trained, highly armed army sitting in the
yeah,
middle of
and
Eastern Europe. Yeah.
that can blow back on the EU.
Well, yeah,
That
yeah,
can blow back on the EU.
yeah. And
If somebody like Zelensky wants to attack the EU, he can.
well, I don't know if
Not Zelensky, but
no,
the people
someone. Yeah.
behind Zelensky.
We all know who you're talking about. Yes, and 6 years ago, the BBC were doing news reports about the extremists there. We're not
The
talking.
Azov Brigade.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
ones.
yeah.
Are they? Is it over talked, overblown? I don't know. There does seem to be an awful lot of them. That could fall quite easily form a militia, and they're crazies. No doubt
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
They're
Oh,
crazy,
yeah.
fanatical crazies. They're just going with the guy at the moment who can give them something.
Very
Um,
much like Hamas.
Somebody's useful fanatics, yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the same mentality. I mean, yeah, it's going to be. I mean, Eastern Europe is all. I mean, I did say to a student. I mean, yeah, I'm probably getting in trouble for this, but that's well, somebody said to me here, what's going on now? I said, well, it's just Eastern Europeans being Eastern Europeans, as far as I
Yeah.
can tell. I'm sorry, but I mean, I'm not saying the Western Europeans are particularly civilized, but we have degrees going across, or what we would consider. Yeah, when you spoke about Russians drinking vodka and everything else, yeah, they're vodka drinking, potash drinking, crazy people, and I've drunk with them in London.
Well,
Yeah,
they are vodka drinking crazy people, as Brazilians are drinking cachaça.
yeah,
You crazy Brazilians as well. I mean,
yeah,
it's the whole world over.
yeah.
There's nothing different.
No, but I mean, yeah, we have a tend. Well, I don't know. Yeah, to say Brazilians can't be violent is yeah. There are a few things go down here sometimes.
Don't defend the Brazilians because you drink cachaça.
Yeah. Kasasha in one hand, and Kalashnikov in another, So, the two might not be a good mix, but yeah.
No.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, I think it's not that we're dealing with another Hitler. It's not we're going to have a peace in our time moment or anything else like that.